Okay.
If I still have a voice.
Okay.
Recheck. Okay.
Got a bunch of people here.
Mhm.
Maybe, Nancy, you ready? I'd like to call the 7 PM work session to order. Roll call, please.
Mr. Boonstra?
Here.
Mr. Lane?
Here.
Mr. Madigan?
Here.
Mr. Shanley?
Here.
And Mayor Melchiong.
Here.
Thank you.
You please read the open work session statement.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. This regular work session meeting of the Wykoff Township Committee is now in session. In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, notice of this meeting appears on our annual schedule of meetings. A copy of said annual schedule has been posted on the bulletin board in Memorial Town Hall. A copy has been filed with the municipal clerk and has been posted on our municipal website. A copy has also been emailed to the Record, the Ridgewood News, and the North Jersey Herald News, all newspapers having a general circulation throughout the Township of Wykoff. At least 48 hours prior to this meeting, the agenda thereof was similarly posted, filed, and emailed to said newspapers.
Thank you. Can you please confirm Finance Committee has signed vouchers?
Yes, all the vouchers have been signed, Mayor.
Thank you. All right, could I have a motion to open the 10-minute public comment period? 10-minute public comment period, 2 minutes per speaker for public comment on any governmental issue that a member of the public feels may be of concern to the residents of the Township of Wykoff.
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Mr. Boonstra?
Yes.
Mr. Lane?
Aye.
Mr. Madigan?
Yes.
Mr. Shanley?
Yes.
And Mayor Melchiong.
Yes.
With an affirmative vote, the motion is approved.
Please step forward to the microphone if you wish to make a comment.
Seeing and hearing no one, I move to close public comment. Second.
Mr. Boonstra?
Yes.
Mr. Lane?
Aye.
Mr. Madigan?
Yes.
Mr. Shanley?
Yes.
And Mayor Melchiong.
Yes,
With an affirmative vote, the motion is approved.
thank you. All right, now we're gonna have our auditor's report. We have Gary Higgins here tonight, our auditor, to present our report for us this evening.
I'm ready.
You're
good?
on.
Yeah, you good.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Your report, I believe you all should have received at least electronically. This is the audit for the year ending 12/31/23. The due date by statute is June 30th, 24, and your audit opinion is dated May 9th, 24. So it's a timely audit and was delivered to the Division of Local Government Services by your Chief Financial Officer already. I'll go through a few highlights and then I'll take any questions. The first thing is, in New Jersey, municipalities and counties do not operate under generally accepted accounting principles. We're under what we call a regulatory basis of accounting that is promulgated by the Division of Local Government Services in the Department of Community Affairs. With respect to the regulatory basis of opinion, the township received a unmodified opinion, which means that you're fully conforming with the regulatory basis of accounting. All right, so it's kind of the best opinion you can get under this type of accounting. Secondly, last year and the year before was the first time that I'm aware of, and I've been the auditor for a while, you were subject to a federal audit due to the American Rescue Plan money. You received approximately $885,000 in 2 tranches from the $340 billion that was awarded during COVID. So this year, again, you put the second tranche in your budget, which basically provided tax relief, and you were subject to compliance and internal control issues with regarding to a separate federal single audit, and there was no evidence of any significant deficiencies, material weaknesses in both internal control and compliance. So you're fully conforming there. With respect to your current fund, which is really how we run the town, your budget operations, I'll just give you a few of the key numbers. So you started off, and I don't know if anybody has the document in front of it. I'll give you pages if you want, but if not, I'll just kind of rattle some numbers off. You got pages? Okay.
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
No, you had a
Page number 7. If you're a Yankee fan, that's Mickey Mantle, 7, retired. Okay, just for anybody who's a
It was
Yankee
also their
fan.
winning streak until last night.
Yeah.
But anyway.
So, this is your comparative statement of operations on page A1. And the key thing is, if you look at the right corner, the end of '22, you ended with surplus of $5,604,160. Okay? Right next to it, you ended '23 with $6,331,745. So there was an increase of $727,000. Where that came from, you really regenerated $3 million through operations last year. Approximately $2 million in miscellaneous revenues, $700,000 of your appropriation reserves from '22 that were unused, and you lapsed them under this regulatory base of accounting, and about $330,000 of non-budgeted revenues. So you regenerated this $3 million, and you had given back $2.3 million in tax relief in the '23 budget to offset the budget operations. So the net of that $700,000 ended up dropping to the bottom line, leaving you with the $6,331,745. So now in comparison, your '24 budget, which you just did, you provided $2.7 million back in tax relief out of that number, and basically you gave back the additional amount you generated, approximately half of it. So all in all, you're back to the same status you were at the end of last year. So the end of the year operations resulted in a positive position for the township. The sewer utility, I mean, that's kind of a break-even operation, and everything's fine in there. So I won't really go through that unless you want, but if you go a few more pages down, I'll just tell you what you ended with in surplus. That would be on page 21, and their operations was $285,000, and last year you ended up with $612,000. So there you had excess of $285,000 as a result of the operations, and you did not return any money or fund balance back to balance that budget, so you were able to basically regenerate the surplus in the sewer utility. So that ended in a healthy position also. Finally, recommendations, comments, as I mentioned, under the federal single audit, we had no findings, and with your regular general operations, we go through and we audit selected items in departments and payroll, expenditures, and it yielded no comments that I have to report at this point. So all in all, the township's in a healthy financial position, and I thank your finance office and your administrators and all the department heads who participated in assisting us in looking at the data we asked for. And if that's it, I'll be more than happy to ask any or answer any questions if anybody has any.
Yeah, I have a question actually, Gary.
Yeah.
Could you just explain to us, under the local bond law, what the township's borrowing capacity is as the date of that audit?
Well, if everybody has their audit report handy, there's a specific footnote on municipal debt in every entity in New Jersey that has municipal debt. It's a few pages. It begins on page 38, which summarizes the debt outstanding at year end, and it's comparative from year to year. And there's, on page 39, a calculation that's required to be done. So under 482-6 of the bond law, there's a calculation that every community has to prepare, and the state really provides the numbers. So they'll take your assessed valuation and they equalize it, so they put you on a level playing field with all the other communities in the state. They then take the last 3 years and they average it. And they take that average number, and under that statute, they multiply that times 3.5%, and they come up with a number that represents your borrowing capacity. If you look on the bottom of page 39, you'll see the calculated number for 23 and 22. So the borrowing capacity, and this doesn't include the school district either, because they have their own calculation at 3%, is $177,945,881. That is the borrowing capacity of this town that you could have taken out in long and short-term debt as of 12/31/23.
Okay. How much debt is outstanding? Could you just explain that?
Well, it's in the same calculation, because what they want the reader to know is how much borrowing capacity is remaining after your authorizations. So the net debt at year end is $7,723,500, and you subtract that from the top number, which I previously announced, and you're left with remaining borrow power of $170,222,381. And on the top of the same page, we're required to report the percentage of the net debt, okay, that you utilized. And in this case, it's 0.152 of the 3.5, basically. And the prior years there is right next to it at 0.1002.
All right. I think I have one last follow-up question. In your auditor's opinion, can you explain how that debt comes about?
Well, under the local bond law, when you pass a bond ordinance, and a bond ordinance under the local bond law specifies what types of items qualify to be capitalized and bonded, usually in simple terms, it's an asset that's more than 5 years old with a useful life. So what happens is you'll bond it, and you'll spread the cost of that asset out over the useful life, either by using a note or a serial bond or a combination, and paying it down. So you wouldn't burden one municipal operating budget with a large capital expense. It just wouldn't be prudent. So the bond law allows you to spread it out after you pass the bond ordinance. What is in the 7.7 million, I don't know exactly, but it would be the ordinances previously adopted by this governing body, where you issued a note. In this case, you don't have any permanent debt, to finance those purchases or improvements, whether it be roads, buildings, trucks, vehicles, etc.
Thank you. I don't have any other questions. Yep, Tom?
I just have one follow-up, because there's been some alarming statements. But just for clarity and on the record, as the auditor, professional auditor that you are, so if the township is investing in needed infrastructure, including roadways, equipment for DPW, fire department equipment, other capital equipment, the appropriate way, I don't want to put words in your mouth, in your opinion, you would bond that debt so that it's paid for as people are using the roads, the equipment, and so on. Was that a correct statement?
Well,
Or you want to help clarify it in your own
Well,
accounting words?
if you're going to do an asset that has a life of more than 5 years, typically, you would spread the debt out over the life of the asset. That's what the bond law allows you to do. I mean, if for some reason you have an avalanche of money and you want to buy something outright, you're able to do that also. So you have the choice. But the bond law is there basically to provide you a way to spread the cost out of assets that are very expensive and that have a long, useful life. But it doesn't prohibit you from raising or buying a
Taxes.
sanitation truck 1 year, but, you know, obviously you're gonna have to pay for it with taxes in that 1 year, which would then spike the tax rate possibly.
But also, in your professional opinion, is it a prudent process from a financial stability standpoint and good practice?
I think it's a permitted practice. I wouldn't, I mean, you still have the option. I don't make management's decisions. It's one of the tools you have in your toolbox.
Correct.
Rather than outright buy it, you have the ability to bond it and spread it over a term no longer than the useful life. I can just offer it as another tool in order to run a municipality.
One quick one. So would you say, generally speaking, that if other municipalities, you don't need to refer to any, would they would exercise this type of prudent borrowing when you have something that's going to last over 5 years, like a fire truck? Is that a common practice?
It is an alternative to outright purchasing it, to use the bond law as a vehicle to spend out over the useful life of the asset.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I just have a follow-up. Gary, can you explain to us page 85, which is the statement of bond anticipated notes?
You have a specific question, or you?
Yeah, because it has a original amount of issue,
Right.
and then it's got a increase and a decrease. So just, I'm trying to explain
Right.
and figure out what's going on.
So if you take the top line, originally, and the reason you have to track the original amount of issue and the original issue date is because bond anticipation notes cannot be rolled over for more than 10 times. Either you have to pay it off in the year 10 or you have to bond it. So you have to track the original amount and you have to track the original date of issue. So in this case, on ordinance 1855, you had authorized $1,265,000 of debt and took a note out for that. The balance as of the last order, 22, was $915,000, and you renewed it for $765,000. So you made a minimum pay down through your budget of the delta between the $915 and the $765.
Okay, so if you're looking at ordinance 1880, and that's for road resurfacing.
Right.
That was original date was in 2019, and then has that been rolled over?
It was originally started at $413,750, and the assumption is that you made installments on an annual basis to knock that number down.
Okay.
And the last payment was done in '23, so there's no balance left to be financed on that.
Okay. And then, but when it was it was taken out in 2019, do you know what the rate was?
No.
Low, very low.
Well, I mean,
Okay.
you'd have to pull that audit.
Right, but-
But it's available. I don't have
So
it.
when we were bonding things in 2019, the rate was much lower than when we're rolling it over into 2023.
Well, the rates are market volatile, so the rates are much higher now.
Yeah, and the
I mean,
interest rate is shown on here 4.5 now, is that correct?
That's correct, but, you know, when a note comes due, you have one or two choices. Pay it off, roll over, or bond it. So you have to take what the market bears, so this is called market risk. I mean, there were notes as low as 0.19 of 1% 5 years ago, but everybody enjoyed that benefit. Now everybody enjoys the higher rates at the same time. So you really don't have a choice.
Is it prudent to bond road pavings?
Prudent to bond anything that's under the local bond law.
Okay. All right, and let's turn to 86, which is right next door, and that's the statement of bonds and notes authorized but not issued. You see, we're not gonna know what the rate is until it goes out to bond, correct?
This is basically a holding pattern, bonds and notes authorized, not issued. It means you passed an ordinance, and at the current time, you have not issued either a note or a bond.
Okay.
So down the road, if you plan on spending that money and needing the cash, you're gonna have to do one or two alternatives. Either take a note out, or take a bond out, or take a note out and then bond it anywhere up to 10 years for that note to expire or not be paid off.
And if we
You'd have to
take a
bond it.
note out for that, what is the total amount that we need to take out for it to pay it off? To get.
Well, you have an authorization that was approved by the governing body of
Okay.
$2,280,000.
So
So
it's
if you don't spend it all, you can cancel the balance. If you spend it all, you're gonna have to bond it or pay down, note pay downs in the interim until you bond it, or pay it off in 10 years of note installments.
Thank you, Gary.
No problem.
Can I ask one other follow-up question, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just again, for clarification, and I'm probably a little more familiar with it, being on finance the last many years. So in the specific example that you were asked on page 85, that was a 2019 road program, which was paid off in 2023, correct?
The final installment paid off,
So it was all-
$113,750.
But it was paid off.
It was
within
paid
four-
off. They're
Within
not-
4 years. Okay,
Right,
that's all. It was straightforward to me, but just wanted clarification. Thank
and
you.
it was all done through budget appropriations.
Anyone else have anything?
Nope.
All right, thank you,
Okay.
Gary.
Thank you,
very
Gary.
much.
Thank you, Gary.
Thanks
Appreciate
again.
it.
Good job.
Thank you.
Mr. Higgins, thank you.
Okay. Moving on. Matt, you ready? Administrator report?
Sure, so first we'll go over the agenda for the, that's on our 8 o'clock meeting. As a follow-up to Gary's presentation, Resolution 176 acknowledges receipt of the 2023 audit, along with our comments and recommendations, which there are none. And the council also has an affidavit that needs to be signed that we have to transmit to the state that says that you have read and acknowledged the audit. There are 2 resolutions authorizing, that are related to the fireworks in September. And there's also a resolution 175, which is an amendment to our cash management plan, which authorizes some transfers to our investment account. We move it back and forth. This is how we do our interfunds, and we fund our cash flow pretty much. There's 2 ordinances for introduction. First is a ordinance for appropriating $150,000 capital improvement. This is a receipt of $75,000 grant from the County of Bergen Open Space Trust Fund with 100% cash match from the from our municipal open space trust fund, and this is for improvements at Memorial Park. And then ordinance 2015 is amending our property maintenance ordinance by creating the lead-based paint hazard inspection requirements that are required by the DCA. More information will come on that at the next meeting. And one motion, and that's really all that's on the agenda. I do have a pretty lengthy administrator's report, though. Just give me 1 second.
Okay.
So first off, because it's a little bit before 8 o'clock, an important PSA for this evening. The Wyckoff Police Department will be having a New Jersey State Police helicopter landing on Memorial Field behind Town Hall at 8 p.m. tonight. This is a demonstration for the Citizens Police Academy. It's a pre-planned event, not an emergency. Second, this week is the 50th anniversary of National Emergency Medical Services Week. The theme for this week is honoring the past and forging our future. Being in EMS myself for the past 18 years, I know firsthand that EMS is usually all about the moment. Thinking about your last patient could distract you from what's happening to the patient lying on the stretcher in front of you and right now. Worrying too much about the next call isn't too helpful when you have no idea what it might bring. This year we recognize the 50th anniversary of the first National EMS Week, and we honor those who came before us, especially those who challenged the status quo and raised the bar for all of us. At the same time, we look forward to building on the efforts and committing ourselves to forge a future for future generations of EMS professionals. So I want to give a shout out to the men and women of the Wyckoff Volunteer Ambulance Corps for their ongoing dedication to the profession and the lives of those who travel and live in Wyckoff. I would also be remiss if we didn't acknowledge last week as National Police Week. National Police Week offers honor, remembrance, and peer support while allowing law enforcement, survivors, and citizens to gather and pay homage to those who gave the life in the line of duty. A special thanks to the officers of the Wyckoff Police Department, past and present, for their service to the community at large. Some updates. Caitlin and Nancy have completed the training, exam, and county oath process and are now both notary publics, so now all 3 employees in our clerk's office can provide notary services. It's a reminder that the recycling center's summer hours started at the time of the last meeting, so the beginning of May. On Tuesday, it's open from 11 to 3, and again from 6 to 8. So it's 11 to 3 on Tuesdays, and again from 6 to 8 in the evening to allow residents to come in. Beginning this Friday through Labor Day, municipal offices will close at 1:30 on Fridays for summer hours. This is a reminder that lawn watering 2 days a week is permanent per township ordinance in conjunction with Ridgewood Water Policy. We are now out to bid for the 2024 road improvement program. Bids will be received on June 4th, and we intend to award on June 6th. The work requiring the extended road closures of Grandview Avenue is now complete. The gas main and the roadway have both been lowered. Some concrete work and final paving still needs to be completed, but this will be done over the summer. We've submitted the New Jersey Community Energy Planning Grant to receive a $10,000 grant award. The goal of the CEPG program is to enable municipalities to review a list of suggested initiatives that will help the community identify a set of activities that will set them on a trajectory to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. This 12-month CEPG program is intended to support a review of potential initiatives so that we can submit for the future implementation grant, also provided by New Jersey Clean Energy. Boswell is currently preparing our 2025 municipal aid grant application to the NJDOT to complete the second portion of Lawlands Road. As you may recall, we received funding from NJDOT last year to rehab the first portion of the road, which is the further portion down towards Adams Farm. Internally, we finalized the concept of the tree removal and replacement ordinance required by NJDEP. We're currently working on wording, and we are hopeful to have that distributed to our stakeholders this week for comments by the end of next week. To recap on the 2024 shredding day on May 4th, 265 residents participated. That was based off the number of cars we tracked. 4 tons of confidential paper was collected. That was 8,020 pounds. 40 cubic yards of styrofoam was collected and transported for recycling, and 15 pounds of medicine or drugs was recovered by the Wyckoff Police Department for the Project Medicine Box program. Special thanks to Denise, the DPW, the Environmental Commission, the Green Team volunteers, the Township Committee, and the police for their assistance in making this event successful. The Memorial Day Parade is scheduled for Monday, May 27th, beginning at 11:30. The Fire Department service is at 8:30 a.m. at Company 1, and the church service at Wyckoff Reformed Church begins at 10 a.m. The County Clerk's Office will be providing outreach services, including passport acceptance and notary oaths, and ID services here at Town Hall on Wednesday, May 29th from 10 to 2. No appointments are necessary. Hackensack Meridian Health is opening their new urgent care across the street at Boulder Run next to the Stop and Shop. Their grand opening is May 29th at 10 a.m. The 42nd annual Wyckoff Fishing Derby is scheduled for June 1st at Zabriskie Pond. PSA for the YMCA that the Wyckoff Day is Saturday, June 1st from 11 to 4, free admission. And also on June 1st, the Union Cemetery marking dedication will be held from 2:30 to 4:30 with the ceremony beginning at 3. Parking is available at the Assembly of God Church. More information on all of this and more is in our e-news. And finally, reminder that our next meeting will be held on Thursday, June 6th, not Tuesday, June 4th, due to a conflict with the primary election.
Thank you, Matt. All right, Township Committee reports. Roger, you want to kick it off?
Yeah, I think that, Matt, I want to thank you for covering most of the stuff that I would under DPW and everything else. I just have a general comment, being that Mr. Higgins was here from our audit, and I know I'm new, relatively new here, but it's very nice to know that the town's fiscal health is good. We're in good shape. And I'd like to thank the people internally that worked with Gary and prepared the budget, and our finance committee of Tom and Pete for putting together a good budget. That's all I have.
Tim?
I'll be real quick. As the fire commissioner, I just want to report, because our volunteer fire members do a lot of calls. They're up to 216 fire calls this year, so thank you to the men that are in the back that I see that do some of those calls. And they're going to do a service for Memorial Day on Mondays, beginning at 8:30 at Fire One. So hopefully, it'll be well attended. Zoning Board met on Thursday. They did it on the second meeting, second Thursday of the month because of Memorial Day weekend. They were done by 9:30. It was one of the earliest meetings that they finished with. Ramapo Indian Hills Board will meet on the 30th of this month, and there's a good chance that they're going to be picking a new administrator. So that could be a big meeting coming up at the end of the month. I just want to congratulate the girls track team. They won the Big North Freedom League. So congratulations to the girls track team. Big win. So, and that's all I got. Thanks.
Thank you. Tom?
Yeah, I too would like to thank our auditor and our finance team that put the budget together, worked so diligently this year and every year, especially Diana McLeod, who's with us tonight, and Fran Piscadillo is also here with us. If I mispronounce your name, I'm used to it, sorry. But I want to thank both of you for all the time you spent along with Matt, and it is a long process, arduous process, And we try to use grants and shared services every opportunity we have to get more bang for the buck with our precious tax dollars. I'm happy to return for a week out at Marina Del Rey, visiting my daughter Annie and her husband Gary and my newest grandson, Grayson. So it was a nice trip. We celebrated Mother's Day there, and then we ended the week celebrating a milestone birthday for me, so it was really, really fun. Sunday, I attended the T.J. Sullivan 5K fundraiser. Very successful. It was over at Eisenhower. It started at 8 in the morning. The race went off, the run went off, the 5K run went off about 10 o'clock, and it finished up between 11:15 and 11:30. They raised over $100,000. It was a phenomenal tribute to T.J. Sullivan, whom we lost last year, and it was a tremendous community outpouring of support. So thanks for all those who were involved, putting that together, all those that cooperated in making it happen. That afternoon, I had the pleasure of attending, along with fellow Township committeemen, the Eagle Scout Gold Awards over at Cornerstone Church. Recognized was Kevin O'Neill, Leon Taylor, Nick Hendrickson, and Hayden Tarr. So it was a very nice event. We get a lot to be proud of when these young men, we see what they did. And the common theme was they did everything. They each had their own projects, and they did it all for the benefit of the Wyckoff community, for our residents, for long term, and it's just refreshing and really nice, and it was a great tribute. And then just finally, I look forward to the Memorial Day Parade and festivities on Monday. That's it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Rudy?
Thank you, Mayor. Excuse me if I lose my voice, I'll quit. To begin with, 2 weeks ago on the 14th, the Partners in Pride planted all their pots around town, their flower pots. And I want to thank the Partners in Pride and Susan Litt for what they do every year. They do it kind of behind the scenes, and they get it done, and it's a lot of planting and a lot of watering all summer, but they beautify our town, so I really want to thank them. I too want to thank Gary Higgins for joining us tonight and giving us the budget report. I think you hit the highlights for what we needed to hear, and also Diana and Fran for joining us, so thanks very much. I too attended the Shred Fest Styrofoam collection and drug collection on the 11th, and it was a good event. Matt gave us all the figures, so we know what they are. The Styrofoam was the only category that actually held strong. I attended the Historic Preservation Commission last Tuesday night. We're working with the owner of the historic home on the corner of Greenhaven and Godwin. They're doing some window replacement to keep it as authentic as absolutely possible, and they're being very cooperative. We thank them very much. We're also talking about possibly moving forward with adding an additional 14 properties to our local historic preservation list, but it's a work in progress. On the 15th, at a planning board meeting, only one item really for action. The Cornerstone Church, we approved a handicap ramp on the old house on the right side when you pull onto the property, and we approved the installation of 3 gas generators. There was talk about a diesel-powered generator. If they can't get gas hooked up, the church is going to come back to us for further discussion if they have to do diesel. And there was also discussion and a plan to work on the berm along where the commuter parking is on the west side of the building. I too attended the Eagle Scout Court of Honor, which was a great event. The best part for me was an old firefighter named Joe Landy was there, who I didn't even know was alive yet. He's at the fireman's home up in Boonton. He's 98 years old, and he looks great. There's a few guys, a half a dozen guys at the back who was along with me remember Joe Landy, and he looked like Joe. I mean, he at 98 years old, it was great to see him. It really was. The fishing derby is on June 1, along with, as Matt said, Wyckoff Day and the Union Cemetery dedication of the historic plaque and tours of the cemetery. I would encourage anyone who can make it. I know Wyckoff Day runs till 4 or something like that, to stop over there. the Historic Preservation Commission has done a great, or the Historic Society has done a great job with that, and they managed to get a historic plaque. And they're even having some reenactors from Massachusetts, some Civil War reenactors come. There are 2 Civil War KIAs in that cemetery, and they're going to do for Memorial, or it's around Memorial Day, so they're going to do a nice ceremony for them. I don't know what time that is. That's it, Mayor. Look forward to seeing everyone at Memorial Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Rudy. Just want to start off first. It was Tom's birthday this past Friday. Happy birthday. And it was our attorney's birthday, Dave Becker, I believe a few days before that. Had a lot of birthdays up here in May, so happy birthday, everybody. I was also able to attend the Eagle Scout ceremony. It was a great ceremony with the rest of the Township Committee. I want to thank the Memorial Day Parade Committee for, once again, all their hard work they do in putting together a great day here in town. I encourage everyone to go to both services and watch the parade, which starts at 11:30. Matt covered EMS week, and I always want to thank our first responders. I was a first responder for 9 years, so I definitely know the dedication and sacrifice that they go through. Roger and I were able to drop off some bagels and sandwich for our fine police department last week for Police Week, and that I was also at the 5K with Tom. It was a great turnout. The committee did a great job. They had over 660 or 680 participants. It was a good day, and they raised some money for a good cause. And lastly, I just want to wish everybody a happy Memorial Day and see everybody on Monday. Dave?
I do not have any legal report today, but I just want to say I look forward to seeing everybody at Memorial Day. I know the mayor always talks about it's a highlight of his year here in Wyckoff, and I know the first time I came to Wyckoff was in 1987. The mayor that year was Gordon Stanley, and a year and a half later was my father-in-law, so I guess I like that Memorial Day parade, so I encourage everybody to come on out.
Thank you. All right. Now, request a motion to adopt Resolution 24C2 to enter into closed session discussion.
Moved.
Second.
Mr. Boonstra?
Yes.
Mr. Lane?
Aye.
Mr. Madigan?
Yes.
Mr. Shanley?
Yes.
And Mayor Melchiong.
Yes,
With an affirmative vote, the motion is approved.
thank you. We'll be back at 8 o'clock for our business meeting.
I gotta use the restroom real quick.